today we've got Russell here. He's got the Razr.
I've got the Droid Razr Maxx HD. Droid Razr Maxx HD.
Great name. And then we've got Jason Howell here with the Droid Razr.
It may look a lot like the Razr Maxx, but it's actually a little thinner. Well, a little more anorexic.
Since you don't have the Max, we're going to talk to Russell first and see what should we know about the Droid Razr Maxx HD, and that's really the name.
Yes, it's absolutely the name. So this is the Droid Razr Maxx HD, and it's one of Motorola's flagship phones. This is a phone that was still actually made by Motorola. So Google has kind of taken over Motorola Mobility, but this phone was still in the pipeline when it was all designed by Motorola. So this is probably going to be the last of the actual, Motorola phones. It's a 1.5 gigahertz dual core, and it ships with Ice Cream Sandwich, which is the 4.0 version of Android. The 4.1 version is supposed to be coming very soon, maybe any day now. But this is a Verizon phone, so you've got a 4.7-inch Super AMO LED screen. It's global ready on Verizon, which is great because Verizon's always had difficulties with global phones, but now that LTE's out, most of the LTE phones are global ready. So now you can take this phone overseas, pop in another SIM card, comes SIM unlocked, so that's nice. So you can travel and do that. You've got your Bluetooth 4.0, dual band wireless, 8 megapixel camera, but the real key with the Droid Razr Maxx HD is that it's got a extended battery basically built inside. So you've got 3,300 milliamps, which Motorola says will give you up to 3,300, or not 3,300, but 32 something hours, which is really incredible. It's one of the longest batteries, or if not the longest battery that you're going to get in a smartphone. And the great thing about that is that I've been a power user. I've had smartphones for 10 years. I've always had to buy the extra extended battery. So this phone basically has it built in, and you don't have to use like a funny, bulgy case in the back or go to some aftermarket company and get their, horrible plastic that doesn't match your phone, to be able to use the phone. So this can get you like, through the whole day as a power user, maybe 2 days. I've always had issues with getting through the day on my smartphone, so this has basically been really amazing. Makes good sound quality. The Motorola hardware is great. Everything really about it is fast. It's got one flaw. It's actually sort of a major flaw, and the flaw is that the camera is absolutely horrendous. So, you really want, everybody expects now to have a smartphone where like the camera is good. You can take pictures, you can post them online. This camera's sort of all over the place. Like the exposure changes randomly. You tell it to take a picture, it doesn't take the picture immediately, and it just sort of is really laggy and hard to get a good shot with it. So it's great, but if you actually want it to be a camera, it's really not great as a camera. So it still uses micro USB, micro HDMI. They're premium phones, so it really should have everything. It's got 32 gigs internal storage and a micro SD slot, or micro SDHC. So everything about this phone I was really happy with, except for the camera. And I've actually used this for quite a long time because I actually have my phone that I bought a couple weeks ago is also the Droid Razr Maxx HD. So this is the phone that we've been testing. This is my phone, and I've actually used it for quite a while, and everything except the camera has been great on it. So, yeah, I mean the pros are that it's $299 at Verizon, so it's with a 2-year contract. That is a premium price, so I expect a lot for that, and you get a lot accepting the camera. I have already put on the Jelly Bean. There was a leaked Jelly Bean. So I've loaded that on my phone. In the current status, they didn't make the camera any better. I replaced the camera app with the Galaxy Nexus camera app. That makes it a little better, but that means it's quick to take a picture that is probably out of focus and probably got the wrong exposure. So the pros are it's got great build quality, got a long battery life, it's fast and responsive, but The cons are that the camera is really a deal breaker, and it's not the current Android OS. You also get your regular suite of Verizon bloatware, which is still sort of depressing that we're still at that point where Verizon feels that it's necessary to load it with VZ Navigator and VZ App Store and VZ this and VZ that. And while it doesn't really slow down the phone and you can disable those things, it's just annoying to have to do that when you get your new phone.
So as it is, before you do what you did to your phone, which was rooting it, putting your own version of Android on there, out of the box, try, buy, don't buy, what do you think?
So out of the box, I'm going to give it a try. I think if you're looking for a premium Android phone, if you're looking for extremely long battery life, those and global ready on Verizon. I mean, I kind of looked at everything on Verizon's site and went, okay, well, Motorola's touch or their kind of Moto Blur interface has really been kind of almost completely stripped out of this phone. It's very minimal. You still get their home screen and things like that, but it's still just a try. You should go check it out. If you're struggling making it through the day with every single feature turned on your phone, it's worth considering. If you don't care about the camera in the phone, it's worth considering. Everything else is very solid, but I also purchased a Galaxy S3, and the Galaxy S3 is not as long battery life, but it checks those other marks. It has a good camera, and it doesn't come with as much kind of bloatware, and it's going to have more options for ROMs and rooting and bootloader unlocks, and it'll be a better power user phone in most cases. So I'm pretty happy with it, but if they come out with a new phone that has a 3,000 something milliamp hour battery and a good camera, I will buy that phone the day it comes out. So that's why I'm giving it a try.
Can I borrow your Max there so I can compare it to?
There's a Max.
Okay, so this is the Max, and Jason, you have the Droid Razr.
The Razr HD, which is, by all accounts, I mean, it's identical to the Max, minus two things for the most part. 16 gigs of internal storage versus 32. And then, of course, the extended battery. The Razr HD has 2,500 milliamp hour battery. And you can kind of see a very minor difference here.
I can barely see the difference on this.
Yeah, I mean, you see a little bit of a narrowing down here and then a widening up at the camera. This is on the Razr HD. And then on the Max, they basically just make it completely straight. I mean, the difference is so subtle.
Well, you're right. This one is an absolute pig, a beast compared to the other one.
It's pretty ridiculous. One thing I really appreciate about this new line of Razr devices compared to the last one is Motorola is finally getting rid of something, for the most part at least, of something design-wise that I've hated about the previous devices, which is the huge chin up by the camera. You really don't get that, even on the Razr HD that has it. I mean, just barely. I mean, it's so slightly there that you can hardly even notice it. So it really does feel even more premium in that regard. It doesn't have this weird thing protruding out of it, that's there for the camera that's built inside the phone. But honestly, Russell, you did a great job talking about this device as well, whether you intended to or not, because they are so similar. I felt the same way. I think the thing that I really appreciate about some of the, my time spent with this Motorola device is just kind of the industrial design. They've stepped it up. It feels premium. It's a nice feeling phone. And actually the HD version is $100 less than the Droid Razr Maxx with a 2,500 milliamp hour battery, which is really good.
It's better than a lot of the
totally. And actually, I was using this solid, for a few days, and I charged it up fully, unplugged it one morning, didn't have to plug it in until midway through the next day, and that was using it about as regular as I use a phone. On top of that, I also went to the city. I went to San Francisco, spent most of my day there, never took it off of 4G, and I mean, it performed, as good as I would expect any of these devices.
Is fast in it. It's 20-something megabit. Sound quality is great. Speakerphone is extremely loud, almost too loud. You have to like turn down the speaker on it, if you're playing music on it.
Yeah, I really like it. I completely agree, though, with the camera. The camera, you almost feel like when it comes to the camera, they kind of stopped they stopped improving the camera somewhere around like the original Droid. Right. You know, it's kind of
like, yeah, it feels like you still have an original Droid.
Yeah, it's really weird that the camera has just continued to be horrible. But I mean, you never knew what you were going to get. It was very inconsistent. You'd frame a shot and you'd take a picture, and the very next picture, I mean, of course it's not doing it now. We're in a well-lit area. But it would completely throw white balance out of whack for no apparent reason. It would throw your iris out of whack and suddenly get really bright or really dark. It was just schizophrenic, really.
So regardless of any camera app you use, I mean, it's always that bad no matter what?
I was only using the built-in camera app, but I think this has just been a pretty consistent complaint with most of Motorola's cameras. They're pretty known for not having very good quality cameras.
As far as I remember, it's not a backlit sensor. It's still like a cheap 8-megapixel sensor, and I tried, because I have the phone and I want my phone to actually take good pictures, or a picture that I can post on Facebook and have people go, oh, like that looks horrible, like what phone is that? So I played with Camera Plus or 360, a bunch of different little camera apps, and I actually found that the Galaxy Nexus's camera app, which you have to be root, you have to change your build prop. You can use that camera and it works really pretty well, but you still have the problems. And then even when it's great, like even when it gets everything right, it still doesn't look that great. I was at Yosemite and I had this beautiful vista, and I took a picture of the phone, posted it on Facebook. It looked okay on the screen, but you looked at it later and it looks just terrible. It's all mushy and there's no details in anything. And
a lot of times you take those pictures on a big monitor and really blow them up to kind of see what the true quality of that camera is. And I don't know, just on the Droid line and this one in particular, it's very grainy when you start to blow it up and it just doesn't look very good.
But they are going in the right direction. I mean,
I hope that they continue to improve, because I think what you were saying as far as like when you build or when you buy a premium device, you hope for the best. You hope that all of the boxes are checked. Rarely are they. In this case, it really hit most of them, but the camera's a pretty big fault. And if pictures are important to you, that's a big detractor. But most of the people that are getting the Razr line, and particularly the Max, their biggest reason for getting it is the battery. And as far as that's concerned, you're hard pressed to find any device that performs better than this one.
With the price differential, with the not the Max, the Razr HD, is it more palatable to have some of these functions not working so great? Because it's not.
This is $200, but $200 is still a pretty premium price. I mean, and think about it, just a year ago, $200 was the premium price, and it was only recently that they started jacking up the price to $300. $200 is expensive for a device, no matter how you slice it. I think you hope at that point that everything's kind of checking those marks. But as far as my opinion on the HD, didn't get a chance to play with the Max. I would also say try it. I think in comparison with the Max, if you're already open to spending $200, it might make sense to just drop the extra $100 if you can. Get that extra battery, that extra distance that you get with the battery, the extra onboard storage. I think it's worth it.
The battery's not replaceable, so it is built in, and when you get the built-in battery, you're stuck with it. It runs dead, and you've got to charge it. So.
But design-wise, I really like the design of this phone. I liked it on the old model, and I like it even more with this. This Kevlar backing just has a nice feel to it, and it's very slippery.
The buttons are easy to find. The power button is ribbed slightly differently than the volume up and down.
It doesn't feel
plasticky, for it in the dark, and everything feels very solid. So.
Yep. Both the Droid Razr HD and the Razr Max HD are tries, in your guys' opinion.
It's a try, yeah.
Try.
So pretty much the same phone, slightly larger battery. Camera's absolutely awful. Good to know.
There you go.
If you don't like pictures, might be the way to go.